Get ready for it.
For what?
We're about to be shown the way.
Hello World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. And the entire internet appears to be in love with Brendan Fraser at the moment. His acting career has been kind of on the back burner for quite a while now, with several big projects he's been working on ending up being things such as Batgirl. But with The Whale, some say he's finally getting the recognition he deserves and indeed used to have. Not that you would know it from watching my videos. The only Brendan Fraser movie I ever reviewed was Monkey Bone, and I don't even like my review of it. So it would be best for us to appreciate Brendan's work with a look at the classic Brendan Fraser movie, The Mummy. Released in 1999, The Mummy sought to harken back to the stories of old with classic adventure tales mixed with the old mystical monster horror tales of the undead from ancient Egypt, the mummies. And it being from 1999, absolutely everything is covered in cutting-edge but not necessarily very good-looking CGI, which was his style at the time. In any case, Brendan plays our lead, Rick O'Connell, adventurer and treasure hunter by trade. Rick finds himself in Egypt in the mid-1920s, when digging up ancient Egyptian tombs was kind of in vogue. However, legends of lost cities and ancient curses seem to be more than just talk when an ancient curse resurrects a mummy so powerful and dangerous, he's not just a mummy, no, he is the mummy. Resulting in an adventure so epic and terrifying that the whole movie is over 2 hours long. So, let's take a look at The Mummy and see if this ancient relic still has some spark to it. Our story opens up with sweeping special effects shots of the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx in construction as we are in ancient Egypt, specifically
Thebes, city of the living.
Dripping with artistic license to move all of the recognizable monuments over there. It's a lot easier than just setting the movie in Cairo. Pharaoh Seti I, played by Aaron Epele, anachronistically rules here in 1290 BC, and has a high priest who just so happens to be named Imhotep, played by Arnold Vosloo. Not to mention Seti's banging-ass mistress, Ankh-Su-Namun, played by Patricia Velasquez, in an outfit that is about 95% body paint. Which means when Imhotep and her go behind Pharaoh's back for some forbidden fondling...
Yattamitatan.
Well, I was touching myself. So Imhotep disarms the man, and Anunnaki stabs him in the ass. They double-team murder the shit out of the pharaoh. But, oh yeah, he's the pharaoh. Has the pharaoh's guard, they won't be happy. Don't fret. Anunnaki says, hey, Imhotep, babe, you go, cause you got them necromancy magics. Put them to good use. Alright, just gonna stab myself to death and give you a chance to escape. Which he does, stealing her body from her crypt and hauling ass to Hamunaptra, the city of the dead. And armed with the Book of the Dead itself, he weaves those handy-dandy ancient Egyptian magics to return her soul from the underworld and raise his sweet piece of ass to life once again.
But Pharaoh's bodyguards had followed Imhotep and stopped him before the ritual could be completed.
This is kind of like if you got a brain surgeon in the middle of an intense operation, and then all of a sudden the FBI barges in like, surprise, hey, did you not notice the ankle bracelet? This guy's violating parole, we gotta take him real quick. Thus, Anunnak's soul goes right the fuck back to the underworld, and Imhotep and his priests are to be punished. Mummified alive! Imhotep gets it the worst of all, though, as they curse him with the biggest, baddest, damnedest damnation of all ancient Egyptian dark movie magic, cursing him to become a horrific monster.
A plague upon mankind, an unholy flesh-eater with the strength of ages, power over the sands, and the glory of invincibility.
Which, strangely enough, also happens to have immortality, superpowers, and invincibility thrown in there. That'll show him. That taken care of, we suddenly jump ahead over 3,200 years later to 1923. The French are in Hamunaptra, but they have that American with them, Rick O'Connell, played by Brendan Fraser. Good thing too, as they face a massive army, headed by Ardeth Bay, played by Oded Fehr. After Rick's commander flees, Rick is in command. Don't worry, he's still got his friend, Benny Gabor, played by Kevin J. O'Connor. However, seeing their adversaries, Benny decides to just say fuck it and leave, meaning only Brendan is there kicking all the asses and taking all the names in the opening action sequence. As much ass as he can kick, though, he's still driven back and cornered But then the enemies just turn around and skedaddle. That's because where Rick has ended up is not the safest of places. As Imhotep's curse moves the very sands, his will still fighting to this day. For prestidigations and stuff, he can't do anything actually impactful like, digging himself out. That's too far. After this slaughter, Rick is the only one still standing. And the enemies do notice, but Arda says not to kill him because, we wouldn't have a movie if they did. Besides, we got another time jump 3 years later where we are introduced to more characters, most notably Evelyn Carnahan, played by Rachel Weisz. She's a librarian and a bit of a klutz. Oh, so silly. Accidentally knocking over this bookshelf, which just so happens to be lined up with the other bookshelf, in that classic Domino Rally interior design aesthetic. Such a mishap infuriates her boss, Terrence Bay, played by Eric Avari.
I'm so very sorry it was an accident.
Darling girl, when Ramses destroyed Syria, that was an accident. You are a catastrophe!
Funny thing being that filming that accident had to go completely according to plan, otherwise they'd have to spend several days setting it back up again. Something you obviously don't want to be stuck with, as that's exactly what Terrence tasks Evelyn with as punishment for her ineptitude. However, as we see her continuing her work, she senses something strange, summoning her to sarcophagus storage.
No respect for the dead.
Ah, come on, old actor Stevie hasn't done a good prank in millennia. This would be Evelyn's brother, Jonathan, played by John Hannah. He's here because he just so happens to have got a handy-dandy ancient Egyptian MacGuffin that he found in a dig in Thebes. Opening it up, Evelyn discovers a map. This appears to show the way to the legendary city of Hamunaptra, which would be a major discovery for the archaeological community. Terrence doesn't quite believe in its validity, and whoopsie-daisy accidentally burns the map, destroying the part showing how to get to Hamunaptra. Oh well, sucks for them, but look at the right side. Now there's no evidence of this Hamunaptra hooey that definitely doesn't exist anyway, so they don't have to waste time looking for it anymore. Or they could just look into the man who Jonathan stole the map from in the first place. Yeah, the dig story was bullshit, but it's not all bad. They found the mystery man rotting away in a prison cell.
We both found your puzzle box, and we've come to ask you about it.
And he has such sights to show them. But yeah, Jonathan did pickpocket it from him, and he is not feeling the most generous with information. Well, with the fact that they intend to hang him in just a beat. So if Evelyn wants to know anything, she's gonna need to get him out of here. Easy enough, the warden would be Gad Hassan, played by Omid Djali. And she senses he is a greedy bastard and thus offers in exchange for this man's freedom hundreds upon hundreds of British pounds. Fun fact, Brendan actually got strangled pretty badly while filming the scene and had to be resuscitated. Wait, how the hell is that fun? At the very least, Evelyn tainted into this shit and quickly tells Hassan that this man knows the location of Hamunaptra and the treasures within, which he will be getting a percentage of if they let him live. Thus, Rick is cut down and can work as their guide to the lost city. Though Evelyn would have preferred the map, honestly.
Personally, I think he's filthy, rude, a complete scoundrel. I don't like him one bit.
Anyone I know?
Oh.
Until she realizes it's Brendan Fraser. And not even modern middle-aged Brendan Fraser, hot, young George of the Jungle Brendan Fraser. But she has to pretend like she doesn't mind, so we can drag that love interest out for the next hour and a half. Don't worry, they have plenty to fill out the running time. Hassan has even come to be the comic relief. And when they hop on the boat to depart, they discover that there happens to be a group of Americans who are also seeking the lost city of Hamunaptra. A group of gamblers. They make a bet with O'Connell that they'll reach the city before he does.
All right, you're on. What makes you so confident, son? What makes you?
Well, we got us a man who's actually been there.
Oh, what a coincidence, because O'Connell...
Someone get that man away from the poker table. He's got the bluffing skills of a drunken goat. In any case, they have their gentleman's wager, and Rick can get back to preparing for Hamunaptra like he's preparing to enter a portal on Mars straight into hell. Evelyn thinks all this talk of evil and curses is just superstitious mumbo-jumbo, though, and that they're more likely to find the legendary Book of the Dead than they are to find something like a deadite. But Rick isn't gonna drop his guard for even a moment, as there is evil afoot.
What a surprise! My good friend!
Benny! What a surprise! The American's Guide to Hamunaptra just so happens to be the only other character established to have gone to Hamunaptra and not shown being killed. Who could have seen that coming? This gives them a chance to catch up and see how things are going with each other. Rick knows Benny can understand what it feels like to be left to die as he throws him overboard. But as it turns out, this merely keeps him out of the way of the incoming action scene. Black-cloaked attackers demand the map and the key. So a fight breaks out as well as a fire. All hell breaks loose as they must fight to survive. Rick has no problem dual-wielding his way to victory, and as one could imagine, the Americans have plenty of guns to hold back the assault, allowing all the important characters to escape into the Nile, barely surviving.
It looks to me like I've got all the horses!
Hey, Benny! Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
The Nile's over 1.5 miles wide. God damn, you guys got some serious lungs. And eyes, for that matter. But who needs horses anyway when you can spend a scene to quickly buy up a few camels to carry you over the dunes? Camels are the only way to travel in the desert, riding all through the day, all the way into day for night, all the while being watched. Yeah, totally not your fault for letting him live. Just, strong one there. Real strong. Not my fault for not beheading him. He probably would have survived that too. This means that all the groups have managed to meet back up, as it just so happens to be that there is one specific spot that you have to wait at during sunrise, as that sunrise will reveal the location of Hamunaptra. So that bet for who will reach the city first turns into a race. Rick tears up the sand on his camel, while Benny fights dirty. Oh well, just gives O'Connell the green light to fight even dirtier, easily winning the bet. But now the real work begins, the search for treasure. Evelyn is all about the Book of the Dead, but the Americans are here in search of a golden book that should fetch quite the coin. To avoid the ire of the Americans, Evelyn proposes that the four of them try to dig up from underneath the statue that the book was supposed to reside inside. However, they instead discover a sarcophagus that was buried far, far below the statue.
He must have been someone of great importance. Or he did something very naughty.
Or ancient Egyptian prank channels were fucking crazy. Hey guys, I think I found more hieroglyphs over here. To unlock eternal entertainment, subscribe. Like the video, purchase the movie in the description. Hey, what does affiliate link mean? So they need to open it. But how? Well, the people who attacked them on the boat just so happen to refer to that puzzle box as the key, and it just so happens to fit snugly in this indentation on the sarcophagus. However, while this was going on, Hassan was off trying to steal scarab jewels for his own profit, but they turned out to be real CGI scarabs who burrowed into his skin, driving him to scream and run in terror. Like I said, comic relief. So that delays the opening long enough for them to just call it a night. They wonder exactly what got into old Hassan, but Evelyn absolutely refuses to believe in silly ancient curses. They aren't real. What is real is the black-cloaked bastards who attack their campsite out of nowhere. There's rioting and shooting and screaming all around, up until O'Connell gets the attackers to stop by lighting up a stick of dynamite.
We will shed no more blood, but you must leave. Leave this place or die.
It seemed perfectly fine to kill him just a second ago, but that dynamite, man, that might upset the sand a little. Be careful with that. With that action scene out of the way, they depart and the dig can continue unabated. First up are the Americans discovering a chest they believe holds the Golden Book. Reading the inscription, it's an end-user license agreement.
Death will come on swift wings to whomsoever opens this chest.
Yeah, whatever, accept. Also, there's a bit about if you bring someone back from the dead, that one will be the one to kill you, and when they do, it helps regenerate their undead body. You seen Hellraiser? It's pretty much Hellraiser. Well, Benny's seen enough, and he runs like hell, long before the group cracks open the chest. Speaking of cracking open ancient Egyptian containers, the hero's finally getting around to popping open that sarcophagus, which contains a jump scare! Mysterious mummy here. It seems to have been buried alive. Weird. Almost as weird as the fact that the Americans found not the Golden Book, but the Book of the Dead. Only problem is, it seems to be locked. No problem. When he falls asleep, Evelyn can just yoink that thing out of his hands, pop it open, and begin reading random incantations out loud like it's no big deal. Oh, calm down. You know for its time, this CGI was actually considered good. But whoopsie-daisy, that just so happened to be the spell to raise the dead. And with that comes the plagues. Locust swarms swarm in like locusts, so they must run. However, Mr. Burns, played by Tuck Watkins, loses his glasses. As we all know, when that happens, you pretty much immediately go super blind. Someone help me! Everything is slightly blurrier and it's kind of hard to read. As he is unable to see anything at all, he has no way of knowing that the mummy has come for him. But he survives. At least long enough for Evelyn to find him again.
Just starting to get scared. I've lost everyone.
But the mummy has stolen his eyes and incorporated them into his own body. And interestingly enough, the fact that the man has astigmatism really didn't matter in the movie, but it mattered in the novelization. The guy coming back from the dead and the first eyes he gets need glasses. It kind of made it a lot harder than it had to be.
Ain't this a bitch? Back from the dead, I can't see shit.
But I guess, LASIK ain't got nothing on necromancy. So while she is trapped in there with a creature who ate up most of the movie's budget, the rest of the group has to flee in terror from flesh-eating scarabs. They quickly gobble up miscellaneous, but aren't in such a hurry that the gang can't stop to admire the work the special effects team has put into this guy, before Rick blasts it with a shotgun and runs like hell, right into the black-bedecked bastards.
I told you to leave or die. You refused. Now you may have killed us all.
But don't throw this all on them. Stopping anyone from getting this far was literally your only job.
Know this. This creature is the bringer of death. He will never eat. He will never sleep. He will never stop.
So the Terminator? I've seen that movie too. So while the Pharaoh's guard works to contain the mummy and the heroes are made to leave, Benny is still inside and just so happens to be cornered by the mummy. Not to worry, he can turn the undead with his religious focus. Or not. Okay, just gotta work his way through the various religious symbols until he finds one that does something. Perhaps the Star of David in a little Hebrew. And so he's got a new job. Seems he's doing the best out of all of them so far. As the rest of the group is headed for the hills, now there's dissenting opinions as to exactly what course of action this adventure should take. Rick thinks they should all just say fuck it and leave, but Evelyn believes that because they caused this mess, it's their responsibility to set things right. That is not like the problems they cause are just showing up on their doorstep. Except, of course, for the mummy that still needs to finish sucking the life out of Mr. Burns. Then the waters of Egypt run red as blood, and giant flaming rocks begin raining from the sky. Rick shoots the mummy, but considering the shotgun didn't work and it was about half this strong, it doesn't slow him down one bit. But you know what does? A cat, a small, common, lightweight creature that people commonly keep as pets, and they could easily bring with them wherever they go. So they don't. And it's not like they didn't notice. They question why the cat worked so well, and Terrence explains that cats are the guardians of the underworld, and until Imhotep is 100%, they are a threat to his rebirth. Also, just so you know, Terrence and Ardeth go way back, trying to prevent Imhotep's return, 3,000-year secret society, all that jazz. Also, he probably wants to kill Evelyn to help bring Enoch back to life as well. Been on the back burner for a while, so gotta keep the mummy from fully regenerating, and he wants to eat everyone who opened the chest. All are present except for the Egyptologist, so Rick decides that they need to split up. One group guards Evelyn, the other heads out to retrieve Imhotep's midnight snack. As such, they are all well and truly too late, and the constantly increasing mummy powers means he has no problem at all zooming his way back over there, eating up another American, and getting up close and personal with Evelyn, until Rick swoops in to save the day.
Look at I got it.
Marking the one and only time they actually used the cat to their advantage. I mean, it seemed like a much better guard for Evelyn than the Zagnut bar you had waiting for Imhotep. But hey, why do something that works? We still got 40 minutes of movie left. As such, we never see a cat again. Besides, we need a more convoluted means to defeat the mummy. How about that golden book? If the Book of the Dead brought him back, maybe the golden book will unbring him back. But first, the entire population has been zombified, chanting Imhotep over and over again. So Evelyn's research as to the Golden Book's location can be properly tense. Seems the Google translation got it wrong, which is why the Americans found the Book of the Dead. The locations were swapped in this 3,000-year-old game of telephone, and the Golden Book is actually in the statue of Horus. Anyway, army of zombies, time for another action scene to break out, as their car is besieged by zombies, and the last of the Americans is gobbled up by Imhotep. That means even cats won't save them now. They still could have saved him seconds before he was fully regenerated, but the zombies have them cornered, and Imhotep approaches with an offer. If they give him Evelyn willingly, he'll spare their lives. Seeing as they will still have time to try something before he kills her, she accepts this and hopes for the best. But we still need more action, so Imhotep orders their death, and they must escape into the sewers! All except Terrence, who holds the zombies off and sacrifices himself so the rest can get to safety. Anyway, they don't have all that much time left to stop the mummy, so how's about we get a handy-dandy pilot who just so happens to have an airplane, a heroic demeanor, and a desire to die for a good cause to get them down to the Lost City before it's too late? Captain Winston Havelock, played by Bernard Fox. Imhotep doesn't just let them fly in, though, whipping up a sandstorm so enormous it consumes their craft. Not to worry, a quick kiss from Evelyn to distract Imhotep, and the crew can barely survive. Except for Winston, he's dead. And landed in quicksand, so, well, if he wasn't really dead before, he is now. Thus, everyone is back at Hamunaptra for the final showdown.
You know, nasty little fellows such as yourself always get their comeuppance.
They do.
Oh, yeah, especially in horror movies. Once you've done enough heinous shit that the entire audience wants you dead, there's no such thing as going too far with that kill. As Imhotep uses dark magics to resurrect his old mummified priests to assist as well, Rick, Jonathan, and Ardeth dig their way back into Hamunaptra and discover a vast chamber just filled with treasures and mummies. Thus, an action scene breaks out. They must fight while Imhotep ties Evelyn down and prepares the ritual to resurrect his lost love. Also, hey, would you look at that? The Golden Book. Problem is, Evelyn is the one who really knows how to read this shit, so they need to interrupt that little resurrection ceremony to fight Imhotep and free Evelyn. Eventually, Jonathan blurts out enough words that Imhotep's other magical resurrected guard turns on him, sparing Rick and killing Anuk. So now that really pisses Imhotep off. But what's this? Now Evelyn can freely recite the magic words that tear away Imhotep's immortality. Then, in just one easy stab, that's it. Imhotep dies as he lived, covered in CGI.
Death is only the beginning.
Yeah, we got a whole damn trilogy of movies out of this one. That and this movie ain't over yet. Benny's been trying to haul treasures away, but whoopsie-daisy accidentally activates a secret lever, revealing that this is one of those damn shifting temples with chambers closing up and sealing all over the place, meaning everyone has to flee if they intend to escape with their lives. As the big bad has already been defeated, they don't have too much difficulty here, except for Benny, who has found himself trapped inside the treasure room in total and complete darkness. But once he lights his torch, it's really not that much better. It just makes you itch, doesn't it? Therefore, happy ending! The heroes have saved the day. The world will not be destroyed. Evil is vanquished. Brendan Fraser gets the girl. And, as a special added bonus, they get to ride off into the sunset, with saddlebags absolutely bursting with ancient Egyptian treasures. Unabashedly stolen by Benny earlier. That way, the heroes can just ride off with their treasures and not have to worry about the moral implications of having robbed a tomb for it. Anyway, that was The Mummy. Quite an adventure indeed. This was a long one, but most certainly a fun one. That ain't perfect, as many times characters decided courses of action very clearly working against their best interests, as it was transparently a means to keep the movie going. But at least the movie was certainly worth watching. It's also very much a product of its time, which is kind of funny to say considering when it came out, it seemed to be trying to harken back to the Mummy movies of old, that classic adventure horror subgenre of film, fondly remembered but without any modern contemporaries to show for it. However, due to the visual style of being oh so damn 1999, the execution is more akin to something like Bomberman Act Zero, with one big important difference being that people actually enjoy The Mummy, and it's easy to see why. The movie is simply a blast. It's no wonder it made for a popular amusement park attraction when the film itself is already a roller coaster ride. The action is exciting, the pacing is alright. The movie never felt boring, but some of the mathematically mandated jump scares stood out quite a bit more than others. Which is the second part of this movie, its horror side. Not too bad, though the focus being more on action leads to the horror being more about jump scares. There are a few attempts at building suspense and dread, but they aren't given nearly enough time to really be effective. The decomposing form of Imhotep himself does a decent job of body horror, but let's face it, you're here for the action. At the end of the day, The Mummy remains a well-loved Brendan Fraser movie because it is simply an enjoyable watch, knows what it is, and does it fantastically. That kind of popcorn entertainment that churns out gourmet popcorn, coming in at 4 flesh-eating scarabs out of 5. It's one of those movies where the 2 hours really don't feel like 2 hours. Though if it had all the suspense that I would have wanted for horror, then probably would have been 5. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Shado. And remember, CGI ages very quickly. Kind of ironic for a mummy.
How's your friend?
He had his eyes and his tongue ripped out. How would you be?
I'm so pleased.
Oh, I have come back from the dead to get you to subscribe. I am cursed for all eternity to beg for likes to please the algorithm. A person coming back from the dead and eating people to reconstitute themselves. Hellraiser did a whole summer there. Recommended algorithmically selected video. I have a Patreon.